Ladies and gentlemen,
What you gonna do, brother?
oh yeah!
Woo! What? What?
If you smell what the rock.
You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. My name is the Big Alboski. His name, as always, is Professor Keith. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are making Around the Turnbuckle history. It is our first woman superstar right here, Rebecca Payne. How are you tonight, sweetie?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am excited. I'm jacked. Despite the fact that my stupid Eagles lost, I'm fine. I'm good.
Ooh,
All right.
Eagles fan. I don't know if we can really talk anymore.
Keith's a Keith's a Ravens fan, so he's a happy-go camper. Who do you like?
I am a Patriots fan
Oh, well.
and a Tom Brady fan. So
Oh, well, Tom Brady lost this week. Sorry to hear that. All right, no, last week. I'm sorry. So, Nick Foles again. All right, but anyway, Rebecca Payne is here with us tonight. Everybody who's watching, comment. Throw us some questions for Rebecca. Throw us your comments and questions. She'll be glad to answer them. But my first question, I get the first question because it's our show. So my first question is, once upon a time, you were a little girl and you fell in love with wrestling. How did that happen? Who did you watch? Who was your influences?
So I grew up watching wrestling with my dad. We would watch every week. And Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, of course, Lita, when she finally came around. And I actually decided I wanted to wrestle. Gosh, I was super young. We would be wrestling in the living room. I started training when I was 16 down in New Jersey. And it kind of just went on from there. That was with Richie Rotten at Body Slam Pro.
Were you born in Jersey? Are you a Jersey girl?
No, I was actually born in Pennsylvania.
Okay. I'm just curious because I'm a Jersey boy. So is Keith. That's why I was trying to tie that in there, but I currently live in PA. So
Okay.
you know what I mean. Keith's still a Jersey boy.
Yeah,
Nice.
for now.
We got some comments already. Hey, from
Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney. TJ, thanks a lot.
I completely agree.
Come on, you gotta be used to it by now, Alan.
Big Joe's a Raven.
After the first,
Big Joe's a Raven
no.
fan. Big Pat's watching me. What's up, Big Pat? Go Saints tonight because I got nothing else. Go Giants. All my Giants people out there, go Giants against the stupid Cowboys. You know, that's all I got right now.
you just got your hate. That's all you've got.
Victor, you know this guy says, "What's up, guys?" And Rebecca, miss you.
Miss you too, Victor.
Victor was great. We had Victor on the show. Victor was awesome, and
Victor looks great in pink, by the way.
He does. Morgan, hi, hey, Morgan. So when did you start? Where did you learn? Where did you start training?
That was at Body Slam Pro down in Jersey with Richie Rotten and Magic.
And what year was that?
Gosh, 2006, I believe.
Wow.
Yes.
So, what was that? What was the first time that you wrestled in front of a crowd?
That was the day before my 18th birthday, actually. So.
And I asked you pre-show about the story about where you came up with Rebecca Payne, but you said it's not much of a story.
No, we were the night before my first match, and I still hadn't come up with a name, and people were throwing things at me, and Rebecca Payne was the best thing that anyone could come up with. And I just stuck with it.
So you start wrestling. You're off and running at age 18, and you're working in Jersey, and then you start. You know, where did Rebecca Payne, the wrestler, turn into Rebecca Payne, the Queen of the Death Match? When did that start?
I would definitely say, I had maybe 2 hardcore matches before I went out to the IWA Mid-South Queen of the Death match. So I was super duper new. Um, didn't realize how much I was going to love it till that night. And Mickey and I ended up killing each other in the finals, and it was a wrap from there. I've wanted to do nothing but hardcore and death matches since then.
And the death matches, is it hard to find female opponents that'll do that?
It's difficult, yeah. Usually, Ian would be able to get 6 or 8 of us, maybe. I've also wrestled guys in death matches, so
Yes.
whatever I need to do.
So I know that during a match with Stefan Ramon once upon a time, you broke your arm.
I did.
Tell us that story.
So I'd say for about 2 weeks before this show, this was a PPCW show. I actually wasn't even supposed to wrestle that night, and Stefan's opponent wasn't on time. So they decided to throw me in, and for about 2 weeks before that, I was having pain around my elbow.
Yeah.
So we honestly thought that I had just hyperextended my elbow. Kind of worked through it. Stefan and I love to hit the tornado DDT off the top. So as I landed, my humerus snapped, and yeah.
I saw the footage, Keith.
I think you sent me a video of that.
Yeah,
And I,
she
saw it.
rolled
I was
over.
like,
I can't show the footage right now, but she rolled. If you want to check it out, I'll link it somewhere. She rolls over, and you just see her arm kind of dangle as she rolls over. And I'm like,
it's so obvious it's broken.
oh my god,
dude! But it wasn't though. Like I was in denial until the hospital.
Right.
I think Stefan and Rob knew right away, but me, I was in denial until the hospital.
Yeah, I've had 0 medical classes or any kind of medical training, and I just looked at that and I'm like, yeah, that's very broken. Very broken.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It was unbelievable, Keith. And any matches that I've dug up and found on you, I was happy to find some non-hardcore stuff where I saw like you do a lot of chicanery sometimes. You do a lot of heel shit where you like, roll her up or put your legs up on the ropes or something like that. Do you find that? I mean, do you enjoy being a heel, or are you a heel now?
I do. I generally only work heel against other girls, so it doesn't happen that often. Ashley Nicely was one that we used to wrestle absolutely all the time. And it was so much fun working as a heel against her. Just because Ashley was 4'9" and 100 pounds soaking wet. So.
Yeah, there's no way she's going to be able to work heel against.
Yeah, I mean, I could throw her around like nothing.
Right, you have to be the heel at that point.
So I'm going to ask you, who was your favorite female to work with, and who was your favorite male to work with? Because you've been at this a while.
Oh, gosh. Favorite female.
And listen, no disrespect to any of them. I hope none of them are watching and they get upset because you mentioned one person over the other. This is just who you had the best chemistry with, not necessarily who was the best.
I would say female, probably myself and Mickey, just because we knew Queen of the Deathmatch 08, we were both going to go in there and kill it.
And that
I trusted her, she trusted me.
And just to be clear, that's Mickey Knuckles you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of her. I know Alan's probably sitting there like, she wrestled Mickey James?
No.
Have you ever heard about this?
No, I was thinking Mickey Knuckles. I watched a bunch of, like, when we research our guests, we try to find as many stuff as we can watch and see. And you know what I mean? So I know she wasn't talking about Mickey James.
As far as males, I would say Stefan and I, believe it or not, probably have the best chemistry.
No, yeah. I can see that.
My favorite match ever was absolutely Nick Gage. Hands down.
There you go. So you have 1,000,001 stories. You're working on a book. You have a bunch of people. You have up to like 20, 30 people working on it with you, with all road stories. Can you favor my audience with a story that you've shared with me about riding all the way out to a show with your opponent and getting pulled over?
Sure. Okay. So Maria Manick and I drove all the way out to Illinois for Madman Pondo's deathmatch tournament. It was, I believe, an 11 or 12 hour drive, but you actually lose an hour going into Illinois.
Right.
which was really odd. So we made it out there. Everything was fine. We were both tired. Wrestled our matches, bled all over the place. Stayed till the end of the show and decided we were just going to try to drive back that night. So we had gotten 5-ish hours into the drive, and we're going through Ohio, which is super boring.
Right.
And I was just like, well, I want to get home faster. So I
Keyword
We
factor.
apologize to the state of Ohio in advance.
We do. Passed a few cop cars, and every single one I passed, I was thinking, well, I can't believe they're not coming out to pull me over. Finally, the fourth one pulls out and pulls me over. I was going 100 or close to 100. It was a female officer that came up to the car and knocked on the window. So I basically told her that I was sorry for how fast I was going, but, we had just done a women's deathmatch tournament and we really wanted to get home, and, we were just super tired. And looking at the bandages all over Maria and I, her response was, well, it doesn't look like either one of you won.
Right. Exactly.
We ended up actually not getting a ticket out of that.
She let you go.
She did.
Well,
Do you think it was just fear that she's just like, I'm looking at this and I don't want any part of what's going on in this car?
Yeah, that could be.
Because, I mean, it kind of reminds me of a Harley Race story that's infamous, where there was a time where Harley got pulled over by a cop. He's in the car, stark naked. He has like a six-pack or something on the floor. He's got an open beer in his lap. He's got a little woman, I think dwarf is the politically correct term now,
Oh my God.
in the passenger seat. The cop pulls him over, looks at everything that's going on in this car, has a shocked look on his face, and Harley being Harley stares at him and goes, "What do you want?" And the cop's just like, "Nothing. I'm good. Just slow it down. Take your time."
Nice.
oh my goodness. So, what was it? I mean, these death matches. I mean, what is it about these death matches? I mean, it takes a special person to enjoy inflicting blood on your opponent and also inflicting blood on yourself. I mean,
Because, I mean, this stuff is almost 3/4 of a shoot, right? I mean, you're not really gimmicking anything.
You're bleeding.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
laying it in
definitely.
there.
Lots of blood, laying the shots in. I mean, it's hardcore and barbed wire, and
Chrissy's so excited we have a woman on, right? Because she's like, our show's all men and our audience is all men. And Chrissy comes on here, woman power.
that's right.
Yeah.
Kristen.
But I mean, Rebecca can back us up on this. It's hard to be a woman in wrestling because traditionally you've been, the pee break match, or it's treated as almost like a freak show match. It's a very, very recent phenomenon that people are like, oh, women can wrestle too, and it can actually be good, and I can
Well,
enjoy
that whole thing over the past few years,
That's what
the
I'm saying.
revolution.
It's only been maybe about 5 years that you could actually say anywhere. I mean, a little before that, because I know there was Shimmer and stuff like that, but the national level was finally caught up within the last 5 years or so of going like, oh, we can actually have, good women's wrestling. Women can actually main event, WrestleMania. And I mean, that was
girl's been kicking ass for 15 years, man.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. And that was going to kind of lead to my next question is,
Yeah.
you love doing the hardcore stuff, obviously, but being that you're now getting into a position where a lot of women don't want to work with you because they're afraid of you, like, are you finding that that's hurting your career prospects, or is that getting in the way of your goals, or are you just looking at it like, look, as long as I can do what I love to do and somebody's going to book me for it, I'm good. I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I obviously haven't wrestled as much since I broke my arm.
Right.
It's kind of a few matches a year here and there, and generally with people that I know and I've been in the ring with before. So, by no means am I at all looking to be out there every weekend anymore.
Chrissy says Glow was about all the wrestling I watched. Are you referring to Glow as in the show on Netflix, or actually the Glow? Because Glow was a thing back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one on Netflix does have wrestlers on it. Kong is on it.
It tells the story. I mean, they try to stay true to the actual story there.
To some degree. I mean, they take a lot of dramatic liberties. I'm sad they canceled it. I really enjoyed that show.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. Remember Ivory? Ivory was part of that, right?
Yep, she was on Glow.
Yeah. So who's some? I mean, do you watch wrestling? Are you a wrestling fan as well?
I am. The last few years, I haven't watched it as much, just because WWE is
Getting ridiculous.
Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
got their own opinion anymore.
So you're like me and Keith then, where like the Attitude Era is where we were really hooked on it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
I love Finn Balor in NXT right now.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely. You can't go wrong with
Always.
him.
And he got hurt again. I hate that. I hate that he got hurt. Yes, the gorgeous women of wrestling, gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Yes, I watched that too with Mount Fiji and Attila the Hun. I remember, those girls. That was a show on its own. Keith, have you ever seen that old show?
I have not.
It's hard to find it. I don't know if
I saw a documentary that Netflix did about it before they launched their show, so I've seen like the clips there.
Yeah.
And it feels like it would be one of those things where it's like I might enjoy it to some degree because of how camp and over the top it
was fun.
seems to have been, but it definitely looks like one of those things where it's like, yeah, wrestling in the loosest sense of wrestling.
So do you have any opinion of the current crop of female wrestlers in WWE, AEW, NXT?
I think Nyla being on TV is awesome at this point.
Yeah.
I've worked with Nyla a few times.
And
I really don't think they get the most out of her. I feel like they're not doing her a service in a lot of ways because she should really be like the dominant monster. And I feel like because they bring her up, then they beat her, then they bring her up, then they beat her, it's kind of really limiting her impact. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I agree. Nyla was actually the opposite end of things for me. That was the one female where I wasn't the heel in the situation. So, that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, considering how aggressive she is, I can see where, that would be the rare night you could get a baby face run in, because I think if Nyla became a baby face ever, that would be I don't even know how that would work, to be honest. She's so obviously a heel. She's so made to be a heel. To try to do anything else would just be, it wouldn't make sense to me.
Right. So I don't know if you call yourself that, but I call you Queen of the Death Match because, I mean, you're the first woman I've heard of that actually would rather do a death match. So which is amazing and awesome. Do you remember, I mean, could you tell a story maybe of a match where when you were done, you lost blood, she lost blood, and in the back, you guys go in the back and you're like, oh my God, they got their money's worth tonight?
Honestly, I know I keep going back to it, but it would have to be me and Mickey.
Yeah.
The Queen of the Deathmatch final.
Yeah. And we can find that on YouTube, right?
I know you can find highlights. I have a highlight video that I can share with you.
Okay.
From that one.
I'm
not sure if the entire match is available on YouTube.
But
I feel like if you dug hard enough, it might be, because I know there's stuff out there. I mean, IWA Mid-South is fairly well known. I'm sure people have uploaded stuff. I think I saw something just today. I was cruising around YouTube and somebody had uploaded the entire 86 Crockett Cup. So I know what I'm going to be watching later.
Yeah, so Keith and I started this podcast because we were kind of getting irritated with the current product. And so we wanted to introduce ourselves to the scene. We wanted to meet wrestlers that are out there because they love this business, because and everybody we've met, including yourself, has passion for the business, or you wouldn't do this. All right. Not everybody can do this. And we just love that. We love having all you guys on and telling your stories. And it's just a thrill for us. We keep meeting all shapes and sizes all over the country now. We were just staying in Pennsylvania, but now we're branching out and we're meeting all kinds of people from all over, and it's just exciting for us. And but the common denominator with everybody that we've met on this show is the passion you have for this business. Is like it's like an addiction to you guys.
Absolutely.
And thankfully, when you cite influences, you cite people that know how to work.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
I got to say, some of the stuff I see going on now and on television, no less, that people are doing, I just sit there and I'm just like, who trained you? Why do you not seem to understand psychology? Why do you not seem to understand there is a reason to do stuff? Like, I mean, I know there are old timers that'll sit there and they'll say about your style, like, oh, that's just garbage wrestling. There's nothing to it. And to me, it's like, no, there is a style. Even there is a psychology, and there is a reason, even to doing the hardcore stuff. Because if you just, kind of do it WWE style, where it's like, okay, the bell just rang. Let's go get a trash can full of everything we can think of and just run through hitting each other. That's silly. Like it has to be a fight. You have to work up to it. There's a psychology to it. You don't just get the barbed wire baseball bat and go to town 2 minutes in. You got to work a little bit. You got to work your way up to the barbed wire baseball bat and stuff. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. People just they zone out.
So, Rebecca, what's your weapon of choice?
Anything covered in thumbtacks.
Oh, ouch. Ouch. Okay.
I have a thumbtack covered mask that I made, like a thumbtack, almost Michael Myers mask, or no, Jason hockey mask. That was
Right.
Rob Noxious brainchild, and I
Yes.
just kind of made it my own. I also have a leather vest that I covered entirely in thumbtacks.
I got a question for you from Chrissy, who keeps chiming in.
Sure.
Was there ever a moment where you thought to yourself, what am I doing here and why am I doing this?
Yes, definitely the night I broke my arm was kind of the one for me where I was like, Jesus Christ, what do you keep doing to yourself? Like, I'm laying in the ring crying in pain with Rob trying to calm me down. And,
Right.
He is 100% certain that my arm's broken because
Right.
he had said he's never seen anything move that way.
Right.
So that was really the big one for me, where I was like, damn it, I just broke
Yeah.
my arm. I don't have any health insurance. I'm going to miss work on Monday. Like,
So
what
for
am I
those
doing?
who don't know, she was doing a superplex off the top. She was superplexing.
Tornado DDT.
I'm sorry. You're right.
DDT.
You're right. It was a tornado DDT off the corner with Stefan Ramon. And as she comes around, when she landed, she had her arm kind of underneath, and when he flops over, she rolls, and her arm at the elbow just kind of goes like this. And I'm like, did I just
Yeah.
did I just see that? I'm like, oh my God, wow. Like I couldn't imagine being there live, right? And we've been to a CCW show for Rob, and we want to continue to support him because he's been supporting us a lot, which is awesome.
Yeah, Rob's a great guy.
Hey everyone, yeah. JT Funk probably would be my moment too. JT Funk has sent us a lot of he's booked us with guests. He's gotten people in touch with us leading all the way up to December. So shout out to JT Funk for that. But yeah, it's been a thrill to do this. So we do a segment, and some people like it, some people don't. But when we have a guest on, we like to have a little bit of fun here. So we do a segment where we have you and see, it's going to be a little different with you because you wrestle females and males. I want you to come up with a dream match scenario where you could take on anybody, living or dead, both a female opponent and a male opponent.
Okay.
Anybody, live, living or dead, professional wrestler.
Gosh, I might have to think about that one for a few minutes.
Well, we also do we'll let you think about that. We also give you our perspective of who we think would be a great match with you.
Okay.
So, Keith, you want to go first?
Yes, I mean, I think one of the obvious ones that kind of jumps out is Awesome Kong. I think King Kong could do well in there.
Robert Everett checks in. What's up? Shout out to Robert. My son's boy. He says, hope you're healthy, and when will your next match be and where? Well, good thing you asked, Robert, because look right at the bottom of your screen. She will be at the Super Crazy House of Horror event on Saturday, October 31st, Halloween day, bell time 1 p.m. It's free admission with a face mask and costume in Deptford, New Jersey. So it's free admission, I said, if you wear a costume and a mask. Bell time is 1 p.m. It's BYOB. It's going to be a fun time. Do you know who you're taking on?
I believe it's going to be Dirtbag Dan again.
Okay. Dirtbag Dan.
Yes. So one of the other things
yeah,
that I told you
I know
about,
you can read, Robert, but you're the one that asked the question, Robert. So you didn't see the ticker at the bottom, but you asked me anyway. So
Well, he said he can't read, so why are you making fun of the man's handicap?
I didn't say you can't read.
He said he can't read.
It's not my fault.
That's so
Alan
prejudiced.
should teach him. Alan should teach him he can't read. If he can't read, then how did he type the comment, Keith?
I'm just going with what the man said.
All right, so you say Awesome Kong. Do you have a male opponent for her?
That's harder. I'm so old school, but I almost can't get into these intergender matches because I'm so old school and like paralyzed about like, you don't get a woman ever, even if she tells you to, even if she hits you first, you know.
Yeah, well, this one, Rebecca Payne's no ordinary woman. I got to tell you.
I know that. I'm saying that's my hang up. Gee. And I'm trying to think of somebody. I'm trying to think of somebody that would fit. It would make sense.
Sure.
And she probably hasn't wrestled already.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So
Come back to me on that one.
I'll come back to you on that one. So for me, female wise, I think it'd be an interesting thing for her to take on Mickie James, only because you mentioned her earlier. But no, like Mickie James is a veteran, you know that, and she's like, into her 40s, and it would be like, two seasoned veterans going at it. I don't know if the deathmatch thing would work with her, but I'm sure like you guys could have a really good match. Because of all your collective knowledge, I think that would be fun to watch. I think that'd be a good one.
None of the deathmatch bit will work because Mickey's hurt again. She just broke her nose.
Victor says Mick Foley.
Ooh, Victor.
Yeah, that would be good.
Mick Foley.
Yeah. Victor wins.
Victor for the win, right?
Yes.
Victor wins the segment.
I mean, is there anybody currently on mainstream WWE, NXT, or AEW that you'd like to, like, if you could wrestle tomorrow, you'd do it in a heartbeat?
I'm going to say Finn Balor again, honestly, because the amount of talent that man has.
There you go.
I know, it's insane.
I could learn so much from him, and it wouldn't even have to be hardcore or deathmatch related.
How about Becky Lynch, Keith?
There you go.
Yeah, I think that would match well too. Yeah,
I'd like that too. I think so. I think we helped you enough answer that question.
I think so.
So you're wrestling in New Jersey.
Correct.
Is that against? You said Dirtbag Dan.
Dirtbag Dan.
Is that a death match or is that a hardcore match?
I believe it's just hardcore. Dan is actually the one that I wrestled out in Massachusetts when we got the cops called. So
right.
Dan and I get pretty insane.
Tell us that story.
So this was, I believe, the first ever intergender death match in Massachusetts.
Cool.
Dan and I just went crazy from the beginning. Smashed a bunch of Christmas balls over each other's head because it was January. We had thumbtacks, barbed wire. We had light tubes. We fought out into the street and stopped traffic. Just bled all over the place. Our special guest referee was actually the current hardcore champion at the time, who thinks hardcore is stupid. So it worked rather well. The match ended when Dan wrapped my head in barbed wire, which was a great idea until we did it.
Yeah.
The hardcore champion disqualified both of us, stating that no one won, and now he didn't defend his title.
Wow.
Yes. So the show was in a bar room. Dan and I were main event, and I decided I'm not going to clean up. I'm just going to go back to the hotel room and, clean up when we get there.
Right.
So the gentleman behind the hotel desk looks at me and says, "You okay? Me call cops."
Oh.
Because he's thinking like some kind of domestic disturbance or something.
I said, "I'm good. We're just wrestlers. We're fine." And he says again, "Me call cops." And I said, "No, dude." So he gives Dan his card back and gives us a room number. We get to the room, and as we're walking into the room, the phone on the desk is ringing. So I pick it up, and again, it's this guy saying, "You check out now. Me call cops." So at that point, I'm like, Jesus, guys, this is bad. I said, I'm going to go take a shower because I'm 90% sure that this guy's going to call the cops.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So sure enough, I'm in the shower. I want to say maybe 10 minutes later, there's a knock on the door, and it's 3 police officers. One of them knocks on the bathroom door, tells me to come out once I get dressed, that they just have to do a welfare check and make sure everyone's okay. So we talked to them for a little while. And long story short, out of the 3 police officers, the oldest one of the bunch had actually gone to high school with the referee that was cutting barbed wire out of my head. So they took pictures with us and left.
They took pictures with you and left.
They did.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. And I mean, you got 100 of these stories, and I mean, I'm hoping that book is chock full of them, right?
Oh yeah. There's going to be plenty of my stories, but also some really awesome stories from a lot of other people.
Can you drop some names or no? That are involved in me?
Well, Low Life Louie is the big one helping me kind of put things together right now.
Mm-hmm.
He would be a great one for you to interview. But I've got stories coming from Mickey Knuckles and Missy Sampson.
There you go.
Just a bunch of people. A few guys that are no longer working.
Right.
The book, I'm going to try to break down into 4 different sections. So some of it I'll keep as a surprise. But
and it has a working title, right?
Yes, it does. It's Pro Wrestling, the Good, the Bad, and the Completely Unbelievable.
There you go. Coming soon to a bookshelf near you. Chrissy's chiming in again, Keith. She's all over. She loves Rebecca. She loves that we have a female on.
I know.
Chrissy, stop flirting with her. All right. So, do you think men sexualize women's wrestling?
Myself, I can say I don't think I've ever had a problem with it. I've never been disrespected, but I'm sure other people would have other opinions.
Right. I gotta say, I'm sure there's some men that do that, but I mean, as a fan, I don't watch. Especially the crop nowadays, that the Sasha Banks, the Baileys, the Charlotte Flairs of the world. I don't watch them, because, oh my God, they're on my TV, and and I'm thinking dirty thoughts about them. No, they are amazing.
That's a lie when it comes to Charlotte, though.
They are amazing athletes. And especially this crop now, it's not the Divas era in the 90s where they were having bra and panties matches and stuff like that. Back then they did that, Chrissy. Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's all it was to sexualize the girls and everything.
But now, nowadays it's more like to make them equal with the men.
Believe it or not, the last bra and panties match I've seen was actually Stefan Ramon against Adrian Bliss. So,
and I don't know why you told me that, because now I can't get that picture out of my head, because I recently took a picture with Stefan Ramon and he tried to give me a lap dance, but there was a pandemic going on.
Then you're lucky there was a pandemic going on.
Yeah, that was my out.
That's what he says. What he was thinking was.
Sorry, I'm all about women empowerment. We know. I know. Now Rebecca knows.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of,
I do have to say on that subject, though, I mean, at least with the major companies, I do see a lot more where it is becoming more about respect. It's becoming more about, no, you're an athlete, what you can do athletically. I mean, I tell people the story they told with Bailey and NXT and Sasha Banks, to where you finally get to where Bailey wins the title after like 2 years of going for the title, and then the show of respect afterwards and everything. It's one of the only wrestling matches I've ever watched, and I've actually cried.
I love that.
How happy I was.
Charlotte and Becky came in. They held the four. They held the four horsemen.
Knowing that story of how everybody struggled to achieve that, and to finally get there on that stage, it was beautiful. So I gotta give the companies credit. I mean, I don't know what's happening when the cameras are off. I know we've had some accusations over the last few months about different people abusing their position. But I think in the major companies, it seems like, they've stamped that stuff out, and it really is, the women are equal to the men. The women are valued for what they can do athletically, for what they can do as performers, and not what they look like or their bodies.
Rebecca, did you see
Iron
that?
Man, Bailey and Sasha, is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was one of the, in my opinion, that was one of the best women on women matches of all time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely top three.
The build up to it, and then like Keith said, what happened afterward when Charlotte and Becky joined the ring and congratulated Bailey, and they came up together. They are truly best of friends, and now, only it's flipped. Bailey's the heel now, and you know what I mean. Speaking of our girl Chrissy, she has her own show tonight called Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy tonight at 8:00 live on the same place you're watching this right now, 2M1L Media, and on Facebook Live. Look up Ciphered Chrissy. Look up Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy. You will find it. Very insightful stuff. She has all kinds of guests on, but tonight it's escaping me. Maybe she can tell me who her guest is tonight. I believe another educator. Keith, everybody she has on just is full of good stuff to learn from. She had a bodybuilder on. She's having a sex therapist on next week, Keith. You're going to tune into that one, Keith. I know you're interested in that one, right?
Oh, of course. And
absolutely.
I know you're going to be sitting there taking notes.
Dak Prescott just broke his ankle. Breaking news, Keith. So you're telling me that the Cowboy season is really over, even if it wasn't over? I don't know. Victor's back. Rebecca, when are you coming back to CCW? Have you been on Valor Pro Wrestling?
CCW, hopefully soon. Valor, no, I have not.
Christy says they're gonna be talking tonight, Keith, about the proximity bill for incarcerated families.
I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it on this show, but I'm very political.
Right. We're not. You're very political, but not on our wrestling program.
No, I don't want to alienate people because, I have opinions. They are strong. Not everybody loves them.
So tune in to tonight for Chrissy at 8:00. We also have another show that we throw out there. A shout out to Spitting with Spitter, TJ. He'll be on Wednesday at 8:00. His new time, Keith. He's going prime time. Remember, he was noon. He's prime time now. He's 8:00. We're looking forward to that. Spitting with Spitter Wednesday at 8. Comments are fast and furious. Okay. Robert Everett is back. He says, okay, so how long have you been wrestling and how many championship belts have you held?
Jeez. Oh my, let's see. So The longest championship belt that I held was the UCW Women's Championship. I think that was like 5 years or some crazy amount of time.
Wow.
I finally lost that to Ashley Nicely when Alan Cross pinned me. That was interesting.
Okay.
Gosh. Total championships, maybe 10. And then, of
Okay.
course, the Queen of the Death Match thing, that's, I guess, just a different type
That
of.
counts. That counts because if you're Queen of the Death Match, man, you've earned it. I believe you earned it. As far as how long you've been wrestling goes, though, that we're talking since 2006, right?
Yeah. I did have time off for compression fractures in my back and my neck, which healed. And then about maybe a year and a half off for the arm.
For the arm.
And like I said, I haven't really wrestled near as much since coming back from the arm.
Yeah, so talk about that first match after you come back from the arm, because if I remember, you and I had a conversation where like you wanted to come back sooner than you should have.
So I broke my arm in October of 2017.
Right.
I actually wanted to wrestle on Rob's Black Friday show in November of that year.
It's a month later, Keith. 2 months later. Not even.
And thankfully, Rob was sane and said, hell no.
Oh, yeah. Rob was like, well, if you can go to the show doctor and get him to say okay, then okay.
Yeah.
Clearly
where the hell, man? Keith, I have not seen Rob on our show for a while. You know that?
He's a busy man, I'm sure. I'm sure that's all it is.
In the beginning, though, he was on and running his mouth every damn show.
Yeah. But I think we had more CCW people then too, so he had kind of a vested interest.
Fractures in your neck back, and that wasn't the moment you said, why am I doing this?
No, because those I was actually unaware of, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Like I had back pain and neck pain and thought it was just normal. And when I finally got an x-ray, I found out I had current and healed compression fractures. So that was it's something I wasn't really aware of. The arm was a lot more obvious whether or not I wanted to face it that night.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's something people outside the business don't understand is that everything hurts. Just for you to take a flat back bump hurts.
Right.
So you get to a point where you're like, okay, if it's not blinding, crippling pain or pain that's different than my normal pain, I'm just going to go through it. I'm going to work through it. And that's how you get fractures, not necessarily bone breaks, but you get the bad muscle tears like you were talking about with your arm. That was probably a case of you had done something earlier because you said your elbow had hurt going into the match.
We had actually thought that I hyperextended my elbow.
Right. So you've done something earlier, but you're saying, okay, well, that's wear and tear. That's just the pain from the business. But probably going into that, you do the tornado DDT, you jerk just right.
Right.
And your arm just finally says, okay, enough, woman. I'm done. I'm breaking. You've done too much. And that happens to almost everybody. I think people really do not understand how much pain a wrestler has to live with on a daily basis and how easy it is when you have that pain to not realize, okay, that could be a symptom of something more serious going on until, you finally get into a doctor and they go, yeah. I mean, I know Taz told a story about going into the hospital, driving himself to the hospital in Philly because his neck hurt. And they were like, you didn't drive here. He was like, yeah, I did. And they're like, your neck is broken. There's no way you drove here. I mean, it sounds outrageous and it sounds made up, but it's true. You guys live with so much pain that it becomes a normal person would say, okay, I'm done after this, but you guys are like, that's the price we pay. That's what we live with.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I actually that night had thought that I just dislocated my shoulder. I actually rolled and told Stefan that I had dislocated my shoulder.
Right.
I thought we were just going to kind of pop it back in and finish the match and everything was going to be fine.
Right.
And it didn't go that way. And
man, you know what? That's the thing that people who aren't really, big fans of wrestling like me, myself, and Keith don't understand that how much respect we have for all of you. Put your bodies on the line every single match for our entertainment. And that's what I respect the most about pro wrestlers. Maybe when I was a kid, and I'm aging myself here, but maybe when I was a kid, when I was watching the Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage and Ultimate Warriors of the world, I was excited as a kid to watch it because I thought it was real. As far as, and I don't, when I say real, I mean,
A legitimate contest.
right. And then later on, now, all I want to see now at my age is a good, decent match. And over the past couple years, it's been kind of goofy, especially this year with the pandemic. But like, going back to maybe 3 years ago, where NXT was putting out these amazing takeover pay-per-views.
Oh,
And I mean, that was anything. Tommaso Ciampa versus Gargano, and any of that stuff was just amazing to me. I was like, wow, for $9.99, I wish the network existed when I was paying $50 a month to watch these guys wrestle. But man, I tell you, it was, I can't go away from it. It gets, right now it's kind of down a little bit, and things are goofy in the Thunderdome, and this and that. I'm not really happy with it, but I can't leave it. And this show is proof of that. On top of the fact that meeting you guys and going down to your shows and trying to support you, because you guys are coming on here supporting us. We want to support you guys too by coming down to your shows. And
we enjoy what we're seeing.
Yeah, and it got us back into it, right, Keith?
Oh yeah, because I think what gives me hope is talking to you guys that are working on making it. It gives me hope because there's a lot of stuff that I see people, like I said, I see people doing on television. I'm just like, this is not wrestling. This has an expiration date. This is almost a parody. So to hear you guys talk about, when you're asked who are your influences, and you go Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, we hear a lot. We hear a lot of technicians. Chris Benoit for the good stuff, obviously, not the bad bits. That gives me hope. That gives me hope that what's going on now is that I don't like personally, is kind of a blip on the radar, that it's a time in the business and that time is going to pass, and you guys are going to rise up and we're going to see what I consider wrestling again.
So Big Pat Kelly asks, what was the worst injury to date?
Definitely the arm.
The arm. Yeah.
I've also had stitches. I had 9 stitches above my eye. That one was a little scary just because it was above the eye.
Yeah.
Man, God. Victor says, here we go with age. Yeah, Victor, I know. Anytime I mention my age, Victor gets offended because he's older than me.
Victor's old, so.
Rebecca is strong and from PA. There you go. All right, will you be wrestling in Pennsylvania anytime soon, and where?
I don't have anything set up in Pennsylvania right now, no.
Just that what you see down there, kids, on Halloween.
Yeah, the super crazy.
The super crazy event, House of Horrors, BYOB, free admission. Free admission if you wear a costume with a mask in Deptford, New Jersey. Bell time's 1 p.m., but they'll start letting you in around 12, right?
Yes.
So, if you're in that area, or if you're in the Jersey or PA area and you're watching us, go check our girl out when she kicks ass once again. And that leads me to my last question. And I don't mean any disrespect to you whatsoever, so I hope you don't take it the wrong way. But you've been doing this for 14 years. How realistically in your mind, your body, and your heart, how much longer can you think you can do this?
Gosh, I mean, I would love to be able to do it till I'm 50.
Yeah.
I guess that really depends how much crazy stuff I intend to keep doing.
Yeah.
I don't really know. That really, it depends on my body.
You also dialed it down, right? I mean, you're not wrestling as much, like you said. You admit that you're spreading it out more.
Right.
Which is smart. because that'll extend your career too.
Now, as far as my arm, it definitely can't break again. There's 2 steel rods in there now, and I think it's 12 or 13 pins, screws. So,
I got mad respect for this girl, Keith.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, at first I was hearing it's a broken arm, and I think I probably had the mindset that maybe some of the audience does, because I've never broken a bone, but I mean I've known people like when we were kids. You fall off your bike, whatever, you break your arm. Okay, you're in the cast, it heals, and you kind of don't think about it again. And what you're talking about is like, nope, major reconstructive surgery in there.
Yeah. I had a really awesome surgeon, though, which probably helps things. He was excited because he had never worked on a wrestler before. So I showed him the video, and he ended up bringing in almost every other doctor and medical person that was in the building that day and showing it to them. And, he told me that there were options to fix it without surgery, but it most likely wouldn't work. And we'd still be in the same situation weeks later. So he asked me, did I want to wrestle again? Obviously, the answer was yes, and he made sure that would be a possibility. So having a good surgeon was definitely awesome.
Oh yeah, I've had many surgeries over the course of my life, and yeah, I would echo that. Having a good surgeon makes all the difference in the world.
All right, so I of course I wish you an extended career. I want you to do this as much as you love it, because I know you love it, and I want you to keep going as much as you can. And I hope that Keith and I get to see you live someday soon. I don't know if we can make the Halloween show. I got kids and we got trick or treat that night, but you got to keep in touch with us and let us know when we. And definitely, if you ever do a CCW show, we will be at that one, right, Keith?
Awesome.
Yeah. Usually Rob runs it Saturdays and stuff, and I have Saturdays off.
Yeah, so we'll be front row ringside. We'll make that jerk put us in the front row, because he's conspicuous by his absence the last few weeks. You know what I mean, Keith?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hear it for calling him a jerk, but you know what I mean.
You really are, because if he doesn't find out about it, TJ will rat you the hell out.
Whatever, TJ. Speaking of TJ, all right. So everybody, I got a couple more things of point of interest here tonight. Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy tonight at 8:00, right after us. This Wednesday at 8:00 is Spitting with Spitter. Wednesday at 8. And see that little ticker down on the bottom there, kids. The season premiere, Keith, of Home Team Sports, which is a new show on our podcast group. Home Team Sports, Tuesday at 6. It's a sports show made by the fans for the fans. Completely interactive. None of us are freaking experts. We're just going to go on there. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk the NFL. We're going to talk the NBA Finals, which might be wrapping up tonight. Go Lakers. We'll talk MLB. We'll talk the Final Four is going to be going on in MLB leading up to the World Series. We're going to talk all things sports. TJ Spitter, me, myself, and I, Prince Shango, and Anthony Joseph, who is a fan of this show, Keith, and you'll see him commenting all the time. You know who I'm talking about. Us four will be talking sports. We'll be wanting you guys to chime in and watch us. And hopefully we'll be celebrating the Lakers. My son, I'm rooting for them for my son. He's a Lakers fan. I'm a Sixers fan, and we got a long way to go. So tune into that. Our season premiere of Home Team Sports on Tuesday at 6. And Keith, you got any parting gifts for our friend below us here?
I do, because this is actually something I could educate myself on, which
yes, Pat. We will talk hockey on the show, but the season's over and the Lightning won the Stanley Cup, so there isn't much to talk about there right now. But we will be talking hockey on the show. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Keith.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are people in the audience now that are just falling all over themselves, like, he doesn't know something? This arrogant dickhead? Anyway, so you talked about earlier that a hardcore match is different than a death match. I've seen. I mean, I've watched ECW. I watched the King of the Death Match tournament, like I think everybody has, with Cactus and Funk and all those guys and stuff. So like, where's the difference? Because I is it just because a death match is a little more extreme? You think than a hardcore match?
So, more extreme, yes. The biggest difference is what state it's taking place in. Pennsylvania, for example, has a state athletic commission, so you can't use barbed wire. You can't technically use anything that could make you bleed. Different states, like Jersey, for example, doesn't have a state athletic commission.
No, they don't care.
No.
Indiana, Illinois, they either don't have them or they're super relaxed. So that's where the barbed wire, the stuff like that comes into play there. Light tubes also can't be used in Pennsylvania.
Right, because I have a friend that worked as a referee for years for the Samoans, and he was telling me that with CZW and some of the other promotions in Pennsylvania that it got to a place where the commission got pissed because everybody was kind of like out hardcoring each other and kind of going, can you top this? And the commission just said, enough, we're tired of it. We're tired of, you know, you guys doing slipshod stuff with the regulations. We're tired of light tubes. We're tired of complaints and calls and everything else. We're shutting it down. And they put super, super strict rules on everybody.
They did. Now, Maryland actually has a stricter athletic commission than Pennsylvania. Maryland at one point had banned pile drivers and DDTs.
And I know at one point they had banned blood completely, which almost nobody wanted to work there because the ordinance was written so vaguely that, like, if somebody just got hard weighed, and for anybody that doesn't know what I mean when I say hard weight, that's where you bleed by accident. Like, if somebody were to punch you in the head just right by accident, you could open somebody up and they could bleed. And I know a lot of promotions for a while were going to stay out of Maryland because they were like, your blood rule is ridiculous. Like, you don't specify that it's blood if I make it happen versus I just, in the course of things, oops, somebody's bleeding.
They also, for the longest time, didn't allow any male-female contact in the ring. So any male-female contact would have to be talked about beforehand and approved by the commission. They also have a doctor that comes with the representative from the commission that takes, I believe, blood pressure and pulse rates and everything like that. So everyone has to pass the physical before they can get in the ring.
Well, I can't argue against, you know, safety like that. You know, that part of it is good, and I do feel good about having commissions for that if the promotion can afford to do it. But I mean, the rest of it, I mean, vague ordinances about blood and stuff like that. To me, it's just it's not good because things happen. You know, you can't always plan everything out perfectly, despite what Kevin Dunn thinks. Yeah, I got a Kevin Dunn diss in there.
Of course you do. Are you going to
a month or so?
Yeah, are you along with your weekly Kevin Dunn diss? I'm waiting for
weekly.
Along with your weekly Kevin Dunn diss, I want to hear a kissing ass of Jim Cornette too. I'm waiting.
Oh, don't do that.
Ass.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you.
Well, I can see why she wouldn't like that because I know from experience Cornette would not be a fan of what Rebecca does, and I certainly disagree with him about that. I do think the hardcore style and the deathmatch style, when it's done right, is valid. I understand why he has problems with it. He was raised a certain way. I understand where he feels like it's prostituted and it's overused. But I mean, I think it's a legitimate style. It's not just for, you know, people that don't know how to work, don't know what they're doing in there. I mean, yes, there are people doing that, and I'm not a fan of those people because some people are just dangerous. But look, there are people that will never touch a chair, never touch a light tube, never touch anything else, and they're just dangerous in a regular match.
Well, this girl is both.
Well, thank you.
I mean dangerous in the sense of they're reckless, they're careless, they hurt people, you know, because they don't know what they're doing. Not, well, shit happened.
So if you want to see Rebecca Payne take on Dirtbag Dan and a whole host of others on Halloween. Head down to Deptford, New Jersey. Super Crazy House of Horror show. Bell time 1 p.m. Bring your own. Free admission with face mask and costume. And hopefully she keeps in contact with us and lets us know when she's going to be in CCW again. And we will be ringside to see that and hopefully meet you in person. You have been a delight. We've reached that hour.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is there any last minute questions or comments you have for us?
Just one thing to look forward to in the new year. May 14th, 15th, and 16th is the Pro Wrestling Trainwreck Southern Sickness Cup, and I'll be taking part in that. So it's a big, 2-3 day deathmatch tournament with 20-some people.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully we can touch base again before that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You just hit me up, and when it gets close to that, we'll bring you on again and we'll promote it.
Awesome.
Anything else we can do for you, you just let us know. I friended you on Facebook, so I'm easy to get a hold of.
All right. Thank you.
Chrissy has one last comment. Thank you, Rebecca. Yes.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you. Yeah, Chrissy was in all night, man. She was all over you. I just got to say that, Chrissy, we see through you.
I have a feeling this is going to be another one where we're like, yeah, Chris is probably going to poach our guest.
Oh, I don't care. She knows I'm going to tune in tonight at 8 o'clock and watch her show, so I'm going to poke the bear as much as I want. Rebecca Payne, thank you so much for being on with us on Around the Turnbuckle. And, guys, we'll see you all next week, Saturday. Keith, our normal time slot. And guess what? We have a special guest panelist.
Awesome.
My son. You want to say awesome again?
It is, but we're going to probably wind up in a fight.
I cannot wait.
We'll do some draft jokes.
Rebecca, my son is 20 years old and disagrees with Keith about everything wrestling.
I might have to watch this.
He is a huge AEW fan, so we're going to talk a lot of AEW on that one, I think. And it's going to be fun. I'm going to bring the popcorn. I'm going to just sit here and watch those two go at it. It's going to be fun. My son is looking forward to it. He's really, it's a big step for him, Keith. He's a shy guy, he's kind of he's got anxiety, but he's going to come on and verbally kick your ass.
Okay.
And with that, folks, Rebecca, thank you. Love you. Thank you for coming on. And we'll see you next time on Around the Turnbuckle.
Thanks, guys.
What you gonna do, brother? Oh, yeah! Woo! What? If you smell what the rock...
You got the wrong guy.